Hi everyone, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're located. My name is Dorothy Dalton and today we're going to continue the Struggling and Juggling program, and we're going to have a very small but focused session on building up your confidence. And particularly during the pandemic, that's one of the things that is impacting everybody. We're all feeling a bit out of sorts, sometimes a bit depressed, a bit despondent, but some of these tips are going to help you dig deep and find your inner optimism. So today we're going to do a little recap of the sessions to date, but obviously go back to the website www.3plusinternational.com, go into either our career shop or the podcast section, and you can find the previous sessions. So we're going to look at the definition of self-confidence. What does that mean? We're going to have a look at anchoring some of the basics. We're going to look at how you can deal with negative thinking. So all of these thoughts that go through our head. And finally, we're going to have that really important conversation about how to take care of you, because women generally tend to put themselves at the end of the queue. So let's get started. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dorothy Dalton and I'm the founder of 3Plus International. And we work in the space of supporting organizations build gender balanced, inclusive and diverse workplaces. And we do this via attracting, retaining and hiring the best talent, offering consulting services, and we also offer training and coaching services. And above all, one of the things that we do at both a corporate and an individual level is work with people to make sure that they reach their potential. So let's just go back to some basics. We talked in the previous sessions about the importance of understanding that your strengths, knowing what your goals are, targeting organizations, the importance of networking and research into your everyday job search activities. So all of these hopefully will be embedded into your daily routine. So what I'm going to do now is take you on a step further. I will go back and touch upon a little bit of the basics in some detail, but basically we are building on what we've already anchored. So let's talk about the definition of self-confidence. So self-confidence is the ability to trust in your abilities and your capacities and your judgment, okay? So you have to know that you can do something. You have to have self-belief that you can meet the demands of the task. This is really important. You have to have the knowledge that if you fall, you can get up again. And then you have to have the willingness to ask. And for different people, self-confidence comes in different shapes of form. It can apply to different things. And I'm going to personalize this a bit because it's important. I can be very confident about certain things, but when I have been on a nursery ski slope, I have begged to be airlifted off basically something that was flat. So I think what I didn't believe was I didn't believe I had the skills. I didn't believe that I could meet the task in hand. I definitely didn't believe that if I fell down I could get up again. And I definitely didn't have the willing to act. I was frozen. I mean, literally frozen. And this can happen if it's me on the ski slope. It can be about walking into a network event. It can be about being in an interview. It can be about picking up, or not picking up a pen, but typing on a keyboard and putting a comment on someone's post on LinkedIn. We all have different barriers. So one of the things that I wanted to do by telling my own story was that you might be a person who can whip down a black ski ramp, not a bother. But you also might be that person who would feel uncomfortable in a networking group. It is all fine, and exactly the skills that you do into going down your black ski run will be exactly the same principles about networking, writing on LinkedIn, performing in interviews. They are all the same. So One of the reasons why confidence is a key differentiator is because it just shows in the way we look, it shows in the way we speak, it's in our manner and our enthusiasm. This is not to be confused with what's called charisma and confidence bias. I mean, I think our workplaces are set up that we gravitate towards confident and enthusiastic people, but it's, even if you're an introvert, you can still find ways to project a certain level of confidence that people feel that they can count on you to do what's needed to be done, even if you're not the type of person who bursts into a room and says, hey, everybody, here I am, I'm great. It's okay to be confident and measured, and sometimes being confident and measured is better. So one of the things that you have to do is to really reflect. And once again, we've talked about this in other sessions. You have to have a really good self-awareness. You have to understand your communication skills. You have to understand your leadership style. You have to understand your strengths, your personal development needs, and your transferable skills. And one of the most important things about communication style is having that flexibility to adjust to meet the audience. For example, most of us fall into two categories, either intuitive communicators or rational communicators. So the chances of us communicating incorrectly are 50%, right? 50% of the time we're going to get it wrong, or we're not going to do it as well as we might. And this happens to everybody. Now, add on another layer of nuance in the pandemic when we are all working remotely. And that is even harder when we can't read body language. So it takes a lot of toll out of all of us to make sure that we're connecting and our soft skills are kicking in and we're reading the room as we should. Now, I think every time I talk about anchoring the basics, so it's like a jigsaw puzzle, and I've said this to you before, you need to have an understanding of your key core values, your vision and your passion. So what are you committed to? What makes you get up in the morning? What are your drivers? Okay. You need to have a strategy and make a plan, one that is achievable. Okay. So don't set yourself some wild, unattainable goals. Okay. Some people, for example, suggest that you have a target list of 50 organizations. I like to keep things real. I would say I would be very happy if you started off with 20. You know your transferable skills, and you are currently working on your networking and visibility raising. So they are part of your daily routine. Talked about this before. Think of it about as if you were waxing your legs, and your daily beauty routine. Just incorporate it, make it work for you. And each of us will have different levels of what we can achieve. Find something that works. I talked last time about, I'm really big on the number 3. So 3 little pigs, 3 wise men, 3+. So 3 comments a day, reach out to 3 connections, research 3 organizations, whatever it is that makes it work. If one day you can't do 3, you only do 2, that is completely fine. Because one of the things, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, is that beat you up is that negative voice in your head is saying, oh, you only did 2 today, you're a complete loser. So we've got to get rid of that negative mindset. So one of the things about getting or becoming confident is taking control of the things that you can and letting go of the things that you can't. Okay, so if you can imagine having 2 buckets, one with what can I take control of, one what can't I, and make a list and put them, each item, into each bucket. So what can you control? The only thing you can control is yourself. You can control your LinkedIn profile, the number of times you post. You can control the things you write, the things you say, the way you interact with people. You can't control how people receive you. You can't control the number of jobs that are coming up on the market. You can't control the number of applicants that apply for a job. So don't worry about that. Okay, I have a great line, use it all the time: swim in your own lane. So it doesn't matter what's going on around you, you just focus on your goals, your values, and your vision, and you swim in your own lane. And just to make this very topical, in the 6 months it's going to sound dated, but a person who's really good at that is Gareth Southgate, who is the captain of the England team. So both sides, supporters and politicians, he's received a lot of negative input, but he and his team have stayed focused on their lane, passionate about diversity and inclusion. So it's about blocking out that white noise and being true to yourself. The other thing is about being consistent. And this is harder to do, particularly if we're not feeling great. And it's about showing up every day and being there every day and doing the same things consistently. So going back to your plan, your daily routine, we're going to talk some more about that. You have to be consistent. And if you consistently do something, you will see rewards. If you consistently post, if you consistently make comments, if you consistently reach out in your network, if you apply for jobs, eventually that will pay off, provided that you're doing it right. And we'll come to that at the very end. So let's assume at the moment that you are doing everything right. So you just want to get into that habit of taking action. And this is, I think, Stephen Covey, we become what we repeatedly do. Okay, so our thoughts shape our actions, our beliefs and our actions, and then we become what we repeatedly do. So if we have positive thoughts, we take positive actions, this is the person that we repeatedly do. So it's basically about watering your own grass. And this is about taking care of you. In lockdown, it's really hard. Those of you who've been homeschooling, you've been co-spacing, which is, working, the whole family around the kitchen table. Maybe you don't have the right space or you don't have out space. Everybody has had something, okay? So what I advise you to do is to create a structure around your day that works for you. So, if you've got to homeschool or your kids get sick or you're taking care of someone, you just work around the core items in your day and put the things that you can do and shape them around that. So that's really, really important. The next thing to do is to sleep well. Okay, so make sure that you're getting enough sleep. It's very tempting to, stay up late, watching Netflix until you can't keep your eyes open, but try and get correct sleep. If you're having trouble sleeping, then you might want to see a doctor, you might want to start meditating. Part of it may be linked to exercise and getting fresh air. It also might be linked to having a good diet. It's easy to cut corners when we're a little bit down or confined to where we live, but try and get that, eat correctly. Exercise is super important. One of the things that I learned that made me really happy was that the 10,000 steps a day was a bit of a marketing ploy, and actually the optimum number is 4,400. That is much more achievable. So whatever you do, that is like half an hour. If you go out in 15 minute steps, walk around your block, do whatever you need to do, but get that exercise. Try and relax. I actually signed up for a meditating app. I am probably the most mindless person I know. I'm always thinking about what I'm going to be doing next, not what I'm doing at the time. So relax, do something that gives you pleasure. So meditate, be with your family, do some exercise, play a sport, I don't know, take care of your garden or your plant boxes, whatever it is, do something that gives you joy. And the final thing is be with people you care about and people who care about you. So if you live on your own and you're isolated, that can be challenging. But you will, even within, as particularly as lockdowns are easing and the bubbles we've been in are easing up, you can go out and meet people and get involved with your community, whether it's sign up for some groups, whatever it is. Just make sure that you have friends or family who can support you and you can support them. The other thing to do in all of this is to ask for feedback. And that's something that we tend not to do. We tend not to make ourselves vulnerable and say, you know, how do you think I'm doing? Can you look at my LinkedIn profile? Can you help? What do you think I should be doing differently? So really, really important to ask for feedback. And this can be this has to be obviously from people you trust. Here, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it means pushing yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone. If you are not comfortable connecting with someone new on LinkedIn, you know, feel the fear and do it anyway. It's fine. Nothing bad will happen. If you don't want to ask someone for an informational interview, nothing. The worst thing that can happen is that they will say no. So just push yourself gently, gently, gently out of your comfort zone, and know that if you are doing something and your heart is racing a little bit, that the outcome when you achieve it will feel fantastic. I'm not asking yourself to traumatize yourself and do something that terrifies you, because that's clearly not productive. But if you have an end goal, just build yourself up gradually into little steps and you will get there. Make sure those steps are small, achievable, and incremental. Now, the most important thing here is to fire your chief doubting officer. Now, we all have that little negative voice in our heads, the voice that self-sabotages us and holds us back. And I have been coaching people for a very long time, and in deep experience, that voice is usually the voice of a family member. That's my experience. Okay, may not be for you, but it's really important. And you can go back to the reflection that you did at the beginning. I said, you know, think about where that voice might come from. Okay, sometimes give it a name. Okay, and if it's a parent, if it's a brother, sister, might even be a partner, an old teacher from school, whatever it is, whoever it is, you can say that part of the experience is that they have helped you learn. So everything you've been through has been a learning experience and you no longer need them. So I have worked with clients who've written termination letters to their chief doubting officer. You know, thank you for everything that you've taught me up to now, but I know your services are no longer required. I've worked with people who have actually burnt letters. You have to do what works for you. The most important thing is you get rid of that voice. And if that voice surfaces, and this is a meditation technique, just calm yourself, still yourself, focus on your breathing. That's all you think about, just your breathing for maybe a minute, 2 minutes, and that voice will go. And it's something you can work on. And I'm going to sound like I'm an expert on this, and I'm not. It's just something that since the pandemic, since I started up meditating on a daily basis, that I have learned that it's much easier than it seems. And there are some people who meditate for hours. Honestly, I'm a rookie. I can do like 3 or 4 minutes, but already I notice the difference. And you might be someone who can do it for hours on end, and good luck to you, and that's great. But just do what you can, because everything you do will be a bonus. Hang out with the right people. This is really super important. And one of the people I really want you to have in your network or your inner circle, do you remember we talked about your circle of success? I want you to have an accountability partner. And The person you select as your accountability partner must be someone with the same goals and drives as you. Okay, so you don't want an accountability partner who says, yeah, don't worry, you know, sit on the sofa and watch Netflix and eat chocolates, because that is not going to help you. You want, if you have set yourself goals to make 3 job applications a week, go to listen to 2 podcasts, you know, post twice a week on LinkedIn, whatever it is, you want someone to say, hey, have you done that? And if you didn't, what happened? Okay, and okay, not to pull you down, but okay, well, that's fine, that was this week, it's not next week is different. Make sure that you stay on task next week. So really make sure that the people that you hang out with are the ones that are going to build you up and hold you accountable and not drag you down. This is a very mixed message for women, and it's not one that I like to dwell on, because women are judged harshly by their appearance. But I think one of the things we've noticed in the pandemic is that, you know, that we're all, well, we all got to look a bit grungy. I was wearing what I call my emotional support wardrobe, which was these baggy shirts and you know, not looking great. But particularly as we're going back into physical face-to-face, you know, we're meeting people again, just make sure that that you're looking professional. I mean, I've met loads of people who've put on a few pounds during COVID. They're talking about the COVID-19 now, which is not the virus, but the number of pounds you put on. So now is the time just to make sure that you're healthy, make sure that you're looking professional, because when we go back to normal workplace environment, is that women are going to be judged, and we were already being judged. And I don't like to say this, but I'm just giving you the facts and leaving you to make up your own mind. And then this is something which I quite like. This is from Amy Cuddy, the power pose. It got a lot of flack at one time, but I think that it can work. If you really need to get some adrenaline going, stretch out. It can be that power pose that gets all the dopamine running through your body and gives you that lift and that boost. And basically, if you're sitting in front of a screen for 7 or 8 hours or even longer a day, make sure that you get up and move, do your power pose at least once an hour, because it really does help. And then, and this is something that if you are struggling, if you have been doing anything for a certain amount of time, I would say if you've been working on your own for longer than 3 months and not getting the results you want, this might be the time to look for a coach. And obviously 3Plus offer services in this area. We also offer lots of free material. So check out on the website. We've got lots of podcasts and downloads, articles in our weekly newsletter and our e-gazine. There is masses of content out there that can help you, but it might be a good investment to look for a coach. And so let's just do a quick recap. So you've got to anchor your basics. You've got to have that self-belief. And if you know what your goals, your values, and your vision are, then it allows you to be who you are, your authentic self. And when you know who you are, you can project that image much more effectively. You become what you repeatedly do, and this is impacted by what's going through our mind. So fire your chief doubting officer and your beliefs about what you are capable of doing. Then you take care of yourself in all the things that we spoke about. Set up some good routines, exercise, eat well, sleep well, move around, look for people who support you, and if the worst comes to the worst, then look for outside help and support. So this is what I suggest you look at. If you would like to do that, check out the e-gazine for our updates and sign up for our newsletter as well. You can see it if you go on the website. There is a lovely executive presence self-assessment. That's a free download. That will give you some idea of framework of what you need to work on. You know, you can pause on this link and you can make a note of it, and you can download the assessment, which will give you some really good insights about what you need to focus on. And that's goodbye from me. So I'm Dorothy Dalton, I'm signing off. And if you would like to connect with me, please do on LinkedIn. You can see my LinkedIn URL there. You can find me on Twitter as well. And if you or your company have any questions, anything you'd like to go over, please don't hesitate to send me an email. And coming up next, we're going to talk about resilience and flexibility. And I want to thank you all for being here with me, and I wish you every success until next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.